All right, let's get our Facebook friends up in here for a Monday morning show. We got some spinning wheels, 1 and 2. Second to breathe, maybe a sip of coffee. So good. Shout out to Patrick at Lion Coffee. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. It is Monday morning, October 17th. The month is flying by, and we are deep in the heart of the NFL regular season. And it's time for an episode of Broncos for Breakfast. I am Nick Kendell, and joined by, as always, for these morning shows, Scott Kennedy. Scott, happy Victory Monday to you, my friend, over there for the Falcons fans. Maybe we'll have a
Chelsea 2-0.
Chelsea as well. Yes, absolutely. So Scott's living on cloud nine right now, and I'm sitting here a ball of anxiety for tonight's game against the Chargers as the Broncos head to Los Angeles to face the 3-2 Chargers. For the Broncos with a chance to not only knock the Chargers to 3-3, but have the Broncos join the plethora of teams across the NFL right now at 500. Scott, how you doing? I know you had a busy day yesterday, but man, enjoyable Falcons game.
Yeah, I like it when you talk down and you don't mind being wrong about people exceeding expectations. You don't mind being wrong about that. When you start hearing folks in our positions get a little mad, it's when you talk somebody up and then they flop badly. That's when you see folks starting to get and that's one of the problems you see with the Denver Broncos. Like, why is everybody clowning on the Broncos so hard? Because a lot of them were gassing them up.
Mm-hmm.
And when you've got those takes in the background gassing up a team and then they're flopping, it makes you look bad. You start taking it out on them basically every chance you can get. But there's one way to fix that. It's still early. Still, it doesn't feel like it at times, but it's still early in the season. And, you're one win away from feeling like everything's right as rain again.
Yeah. 100%. We're getting at it. And the AFC, the AFC picture right now is a little bit up in the air. How about the AFC South having two teams with winning records? Who would have thought? Titans at 3-2. The Colts, man, that one's bitter. 3-2-1. Should have been the Broncos. The Colts ended up making the Jags look pretty poor yesterday.
Well, what's interesting is the Colts were, and we'll talk about, how quickly can it turn around. You got a new quarterback. There's been a lot of parallels drawn between the Colts with Matt Ryan and the Broncos with Russell Wilson. The two lowest scoring teams in the NFL were the Colts and Broncos coming into the weekend. The Colts just hung 34 on the Jaguars. They got shut out in week 2. Shut out. Goose egg.
0.
And they hung 34 on them yesterday, just 3 weeks later. So, yes, it can turn around. It can get going. Part of it was, rookie receivers. Alec Pierce is stepping up and being a baller. As, 6 weeks into the year, he's not really a rookie anymore.
No.
And the other part of it is your aging quarterback, your old dog, learning some new tricks. And it worked well for, again, a team that was horrendous just 3 weeks ago, puts up 34 points 3 weeks later.
Yeah, 100%. Shout out to Dennis Sanchez coming in, and my friend Dom Hermio coming in over on Facebook, giving the thumbs up. We appreciate you guys so much. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you click the thumbs up on your way in, and let's say hello to some folks. Dave Glassman. Oh, first, Addison Rychek coming in, $1.99, saying, if the Broncos lose, do you think it's fire sale time? I think the Broncos, if it is a fire sale, they're going to press right up against the trade deadline, which I believe is November 1st off the top of my head.
Not far away.
But you have 3 games between now and then, and that's for the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll probably wait until after the Jags game, unless somebody offers you a deal that's too good to turn down. Like if somebody comes in and let's say you lose this game badly and you suffer another injury, and somebody comes in and offers you a knock on wood on the injury front. I don't even have wood there. Let me lean back. Okay, we're good. That's don't want to knock on plaster right now. Let's say you have an injury like that and you lose badly this week, and somebody comes and offers you a first-round pick for Bradley Chubb. You'd rather have Bradley Chubb, but also if the season's lost, you probably need to start to chip away at the capital. So you'd have to at least consider it. But fire sale, I do not think so. Also, when it comes to a fire sale, who are the Broncos' tradable assets right now that you could actually get value for? Bradley Chubb's number one, maybe Draymond Jones is another one, and then Jerry Jeudy ? After that, it's you're talking about getting late day 3 picks.
Yeah, and then a lot of it also becomes your contract situation. Some of the guys are unmovable.
Yep.
Oh, we should trade Russell. I've said before, I use it as kind of this is on you, Addison. This is just This guy, he's old. He's always hurt. He's overpaid, and he's underperforming. We should trade him. Wait, what?
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Typically, when you're going to trade somebody, you have to trade somebody you don't want to lose. Justin Simmons.
His contract doesn't really make sense to trade either. He's one of those ones. Like typically when I think of value in trades, it's guys who are at the end of their rookie contract because that's like typically when they're going to be at their best. They're cheap. They don't have a lot of dead cap yet left. So
and that's where I just start looking is really the dead cap number.
Yeah.
Because you can finagle, okay, I'm going to eat half of this and send you half. So the salary isn't necessarily as big of a concern because a lot of it's base and most of the salary's tied up in bonuses anyway.
Yeah.
So it's the dead cap number that I really look at when we're talking about this. And I have to scroll down. I forgot down to injured reserve for Justin Simmons, and yeah, his dead cap number for this year is 30 million.
Yeah.
So it's way too much. It becomes next year. It goes his cap is 18 versus a dead cap of 10. So that's very, very similar to our friend Garrett Bowles at left tackle, almost to the dollar.
Yep. Two similar contracts there. But as far as fire sale, the three names that I think the Broncos could probably get the most return on, well, you could get a lot for Patrick Surtain. You're not trading Patrick Surtain. Good God. But Bradley Chubb's number one. Then it's a coin flip between Jerry Jeudy and Draymond Jones. All three of those guys, I think, can get you top 100 picks. Maybe even Bradley Chubb could get you the Von Miller special of 2 second-round picks or second and third, whatever it was. But not yet. We are putting the cart well before the horse because the Broncos are going to win tonight. And we're not going to have to worry about that. But Dave Glassman coming in. Good to see you, Dave. We appreciate you. We got Leonard coming in saying we need the win tonight. Denver Broncos for life. Let's ride. Absolutely. We got our guy Mac 85 City coming in saying good morning, gents. It's been a minute, but I'm back. I think once he left, we started losing. So it's good to have you back, Mac, the lucky charm. I always listen on Spotify on my way home, though. That's good. And that's one of the great things about this stream. You can listen to it later. Obviously, we prefer to have you guys here live to join the interaction in the chat and contributing in that way so we can talk with you. But we are found Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, et cetera, where you can listen after the fact as well. We got Jay saying the Broncos' chance is right in front of them. Big game for the standings and a game for the Broncos to be one game out in the AFC West. Pivoting here before we move to the Chargers as well. How about those Bills, baby? Patrick Mahomes, man. Nothing warms my soul like seeing Patrick Mahomes looking like he's about to cry. I know he's a likable character, but he's on all the commercials, and it's just I'm so annoyed by the Chiefs' dominance in the NFL media, tripping over themselves for him. Good to see Josh Allen get the head-to-head win against them, and good to see that Bills team go into Arrowhead and come out with a win 24-20. Chiefs are definitely still the class of the AFC West, but I don't think they're the juggernaut that they were a couple seasons ago on offense and even defense. So maybe the Broncos can chip away at that losing streak against the Chiefs right now, but the Broncos got to start playing better ball.
Yeah, you're talking about it's a big week. It is. The Chargers are susceptible. The AFC West isn't the juggernaut, 4 juggernaut teams that people were predicting at the beginning of the season. Mm-hmm. Things change. What a shock. So go in. Like I said, you're 1 win away from feeling really good again. Unfortunately, 2-4 starts feeling really bleak.
Yeah.
It's not over. It's a long season, 17 games, but 2-4 is going to feel pretty rough on national TV again. That was the Russell Wilson tax of, hey, the Broncos are going to have Russell Wilson. They're going to be a very watchable team, a very marketable team. And so far they haven't looked good.
No, not at all. Jeremy Sean, good morning. Happy Monday. Hoping for a happy Tuesday. Absolutely. Kevin Gray saying, morning Broncos country. Next, Scott, I'm kind of tired of all the negative talk. I need to be more positive. I just want to see improvement every week. God, not getting injured would be an improvement this week. Rob Bucksbaum coming in saying, good morning. Game day in Broncos country. Chase Wallner also saying another good day of football yesterday. It was a good day of football. Besides the game last night was a little bit, it was over quickly. Dallas kind of chipped back, but not a great game. Bama X coming in here saying good morning and happy Monday, Broncos country. Hopefully tonight won't be another national embarrassment for us. I don't think it will be. So Scott, I think this game, the Broncos are actually going to lean more heavily into the run game, and I think it's going to look pretty good. They've had a week to get the offensive line looking better. This is not a great Chargers team against the run. They want to live in their too high world without, rotating a safety down to play cover 1 or cover 3. They want to live in nickel formation. So I think this is a game where the Broncos got a chance to get the run game right. I am hearing that Quinn Miners is going to be back, which should help the unit as well. The big question is Billy Turner. If Billy Turner plays, you see him at right tackle with Cam Fleming switched over to left tackle. If Billy Turner doesn't play, I think you see Cam Fleming at right tackle with Anderson at left tackle.
There's this Chargers team is just so dangerous on offense. I mean, Cleveland gashed them 213 yards, almost 7 yards a carry and 3 touchdowns. Yeah, you should be leaning into the running game for sure. Set up some of those big pass plays. Absolutely. But the Chargers also ran for 240 yards in that game too. So they can beat you on the ground. They can beat you in the air. If it all comes together for them, which we have a history of seeing, we know it can, they become a really tough beat. Just because of the explosiveness on offense.
And I'm going to disagree with you a tad on the Chargers run game. They did have a great game against Cleveland, but before that, they were 31st in the NFL in rushing offense DVOA. They had a great explosive performance against the Cleveland Browns, who are horrible against the run, but the broader sample size would suggest that the Chargers are not doing well running the football so far this season. Now, granted, Corey Linsley being out, Corey Linsley being back in, he's one of the best centers in football when healthy. That can make a significant difference for that unit. But for me, the thing that makes this game the most scary for the Broncos is that Justin Herbert can go nuclear. He's one of the 6 quarterbacks in the NFL that when he goes unconscious, doesn't matter what you're doing around him. He's making throws and making plays that are video game worthy. Now, he's not Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes level right now, but he's right behind them, in my opinion. So, and this is the best by far. The best quarterback the Broncos will have faced so far this season. The Broncos so far have faced the 27th toughest defensive schedule, according to Football Outsiders. Gets a lot tougher against Justin Herbert. Luckily for the Broncos, is it official? Keenan Allen not going to go this week. He might be back for week 7, but the Broncos coverage assignments get a little bit easier with Keenan Allen out because then it's the Mike Williams show. You got a Mike Williams eraser in theory in Patrick Surtain.
Yeah, it's hard to shut anybody down if you're quarterback. If Justin Herbert is playing well and Mike Williams is playing well, it doesn't matter who your cornerback is. It just doesn't. It's an offensive league. Hopefully, the key there is just make your tackles. Don't give up yards after the catch. Having that 12-yard out and then slip a tackle and go for another 30. That's what kills you, not the 12-yard out. That happens. Give it to them. Nickels and dimes. A well thrown out route, a good, it's undefensible. So again, a lot of this depends on how Justin Herbert is playing. Lauren's coming in, always playing well for us. Says, good morning, everybody. Just waking up on this beautiful Monday. And really isn't how much it takes to have a birthday party for your young ones. Yes, it does. It's a lot of work. How did I spend $850 so far and only have a decent party? I get why these players need bank. To quote the great Patrick Ewing, as the players were locked out of the NBA in 1998, yeah, we make a lot of money. We spend a lot of money. So yeah, it's they're expensive. Hope you worth every penny of it though. The memories and stuff are great. So happy birthday. Naj coming in, Orange. Appreciate you being here, Naj. Hey brother, psychologically, the Broncos play the Chargers with a lot of confidence and belief. I'm most concerned about stopping Eckler. I saw Gordon is hurt. What are your keys to winning running the ball in Wilson?
Keys to winning. I mean, God, I think the Iowa Hawkeye in me is so entrenched at this point that what's my number one key to winning football games?
Scoring points.
Outside of scoring points, the number one count or statistic that is the most attributable to winning football games is turnovers. So the Broncos, if they can protect the football this week, that's looking at you, Melvin Gordon, looking at you, Russell Wilson in the red zone, and take the ball away from the Chargers, which, we've seen a lot of forced fumbles so far this season. The ball has not bounced the Broncos' way in that regard, unfortunately. It'd be nice if the ball would bounce away and somebody could just scoop and score. God, I'm a little jealous of the Falcons this week again with that going on. But turnover battle, I think, is my biggest key to victory. But it's a tough game. You got to keep Justin Herbert under pressure. He's been one of the worst quarterbacks this year against the blitz. This is not a great Chargers offensive line right now with Rashawn Slater out at tackle. I think Pipkins is also hurt. So your edges should be able to get pressure. They want to live with a quick pass game, but should be a fun game. And I think the Broncos, if they can run the ball efficiently against this Chargers team, should be able to move the rock. The question then becomes, can you punch it in the red zone instead of getting field goals?
Yeah, and Naj, thank you for the super chat, my friend. I'm with you on this one, running the ball. And it's not even just so much running the ball, but it's avoiding the 3 and outs. There's been way, way, way too many of them. Even if you're not scoring, at least change field position, at least give your defense a breather, at least put some pressure on the other team where you're beating them up a little bit in the running game. So winning first down, I know these are all cliches, but they're cliches for a reason because there are the keys. You got to win the turnover battle. Yeah, we heard that a million times. Well, it's true. It's still true. So for me, running the ball, winning first down, getting yourself into some 3rd and shorts, extending some drives. Again, even if you're not scoring, you beat the 49ers without scoring, but you beat them by living in their half of the field for 60 minutes and pinning them within the 10 and making them go the length of the field. Now, Herbert's better than Garoppolo, but their defense isn't as good as the 49ers. So at least avoid the 3 and out. I'm going to just try and say that. Avoid all of the other cliches and just say avoid the 3 and outs. Winning field position, helping to win time of possession, wearing them down a little bit, and getting into an offensive rhythm. All of that comes by, is part of one of the effects of all of that is avoiding the 3 and outs. Appreciate you, Naj.
Yeah, thank you so much, Naj. Yeah, it'll be interesting. You mentioned the 3 and outs. The Broncos so far this season are the 3rd worst team in the entire NFL in 3 and outs per drive. They're averaging a 3 and out almost 30% of their possessions, which is not great. The only teams that are worse so far this season are the Steelers and the Tennessee Titans. So hopefully that'll improve. Aaron P coming in saying,
Tennessee, really? And they have a winning record.
Yep. Small sample size. Things will kind of normalize here, but we'll see. Aaron P coming in saying, look what Vaughn is doing while George Gregory is injured again. Great move, George. The thing about Gregory versus Vaughn is that this Broncos team, unfortunately, does not look like a team that is in the Bills category, and Vaughn got a massive deal for long term. You have a lot more flexibility with the Gregory deal, luckily. It's essentially a 2-year deal, younger. Vaughn is incredible. Happy to see what he's doing with the Bills. We saw Von Miller being on this team with a big contract the last few years did. So it's didn't make a lick of difference for this team's win and loss record. So I'm not ready to bury George Payton for this move yet.
No, I like this comment, Aaron. That's one of the reasons I brought it up, and I was kind of searching around while Nick was doing some introductions and stuff just to kind of confirm what I was looking at. But basically, Randy Gregory's not young. He turns 36 in a couple of days. 30 in a couple of days.
Oh, my God. Sorry. Yeah, no, he's not young.
30 in a couple of days. So he's not necessarily young, but Vaughn got twice as much money to go to a team that is a Super Bowl favorite. This wasn't on George Payton. This one's on Von Miller and the Buffalo Bills. They paid him double. And they're considered the odds-on favorite for the Super Bowl coming into the season. You're not beating up somebody for a free agent for that. It's just not going to happen. Mm-hmm. So I don't put that on George Payton. That's a big risk for and it's paying off. He's got 6 sacks so far. As a designated pass rusher, he is doing what they have brought him in to do. It worked for the Rams last year too. But again, they're on a 3-year deal with him, and they paid him double the money that you paid Randy Gregory.
Yeah.
You weren't going to beat the Bills for Von Miller. Not with that deal.
Yep. Gregory played great when he was healthy. Hopefully he'll be back soon. And luckily the Broncos have some depth at edge, but need to gather more data on that one to see how it plays out. But the Bills paid him a crazy money for the length and how old Von Miller is. He's still incredible. God, it was great to see him beating up the Chiefs yesterday, and it makes sense for the Bills window.
You probably enjoyed that a little bit more than most of the Bills players did too.
God, that was great. Yeah, God, going in there, hadn't beat one in Arrowhead since 2015. So it's good to see that. Luke Wright saying, good morning, Nick and Scott. It's game day. We got Glenn Harris saying, never trade Surtain. Really hope he's with us for the next 10 years. If you're trading Surtain, it's because things have gotten horrible, and it's like 2 or 3 years down the line, and you are in a full-on resell, and somebody's offering you a Jalen Ramsey 2 first-round picks kind of package.
Yeah, it wouldn't be this year for sure. Again,
2 years,
it would be a total rebuild with 1 year left on his rookie deal, and he has given you every indication that he ain't coming back. I'm not signing again. Franchise tag me, and I'm still not playing anymore. So no, we would not advocate for Glenn. We're not advocating for trading a young all-pro corner. No way. That's a building block.
Yeah. I mean, he might be the best cornerback in football so far this season. I know some people on Football Outsiders have been saying that. So, no, not happening. Dom coming in here saying, good morning, Nick and Scott in Broncos country. Good job on the win yesterday for your Falcons, Scott. Let's have some Mile High Magic in Los Angeles or Denver West, if you will. Broncos country West. A lot of orange in the stands today, I'm sure. Well, we got Tim Durr coming in here.
Real quick on that one, I want to say, who was that came in? Was it Dom? Yeah, it was Dom. The Falcons are making me look contradictory when I'm talking between the Falcons and the Broncos, because I've been critical of the Broncos for expecting a scheme to make the current players on the offensive line better. Well, it has for the Falcons. They didn't really change. I guess they changed their center. They changed their center, and then they replaced the worst offensive guard in football. So I guess they did make two changes, but internal, and then Eli Wilkinson, former right tackle, Denver Broncos, and they have exponentially improved on the offensive line. So they're making me look contradictory on that, where the Broncos kind of expected the same players, with the exception of bringing in Billy Turner and Quinn Miners being a full-time starter. But there's your two, so maybe when they come in, it will help everything the way, and there's your hope for it, because you say it a zillion times, X's and O's, it's the Jimmies and Joes. Well, it hasn't been for the Falcons. That's what's so crazy to me. That's why I picked them to be 2-15, because they didn't have enough resources to change the Jimmies and Joes, but they're playing at an exponentially better level. So a couple changes on that offensive line that you had planned on coming in this season, if and when they eventually happen, Billy Turner, could make a huge difference. It has for Atlanta.
Yeah. Got to get healthy on there. Missing way too many quality players on that offensive line right now, and just not playing well. Thank you so much, Tom. Tim Durr in the house. Morning, fellas. It's up, Broncos country. Not too much. Ashton, game day, maybe the last game that matters. Don't say that. 2-4, the season's not over, but this is a borderline must-win. Jay Valentine says the Broncos got versus Jets, then London Jags. Scott will be there. Bye week at Titans versus Raiders. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next 4 games are all winnable. The last 5 games have been winnable, and we're 2-3. So something's got to change. It's not the schedule that's going to make the difference here for the Broncos. It's, can the Broncos figure it out on offense? One of the worst teams in football on third down so far this season. The worst team in football in the red zone. Got to get better. The defense, I think, according to EPA per play, is the second best in all of football entering this week, but they can't get it done when the offense is this inefficient, inept, venomless right now. Scott mentioned earlier, third downs. Broncos lead the NFL, I think, in punts so far this season. Not a stat that you want to be leading in. So got to get better there. Luckily, that you'd have to think at least a little bit. They can't get much worse on the offensive side of the football. Have had 11 days to get it right. Quinn Miners should be back tonight. A lot of goddamn injuries, but hopefully they get better. Franklin Peterson, $5, saying they paid Von double the money because he will get double the games Gregory will. He might, because Gregory's essentially on a 2-year contract. And this is one reason, you're talking about the Broncos. We talk about Chubb being
just making fun of the health. And I know. I think it's funny. I like it, Franklin.
But you have a Gregory 2-year deal. Everybody eager to trade Chubb. I would not be eager to trade with how well he's playing right now, playing like a top 10 edge rusher in football so far this season. You can tag Chubb at the end of the season and then essentially have the Joker in the pool hall snapping the pool cue over his legs saying, one man can join my crew. Choose. Yep. Exactly. With Randy Gregory and Bradley Chubb. Whoever plays the best next year, whoever you like the contract situation the best with, you can go forward with that guy and move on from the other one, and keep Baron Browning there as your super sub edge rusher, which is a rotational position, people. Even the best ones in football play only 70% of the snaps. So happy to see Von doing well. I'm not at all bitter to see him on the Bills succeeding. I will be bitter though if the Broncos end up against the Bills in the playoffs, and that's the difference maker. But we would be lucky to be in that situation.
At this point, you'll just be, hey, we made the playoffs. The thing's turned around. It's almost a trade you'd be willing to make, saying, okay, we're 2-3. If we go 8 I can't do the 17-game math anymore, man. I just can't. That's 12 games, 8. We go 8-4 to finish it, make the playoffs. All right. That's a trade I'd probably be willing to make if it's an out to Von Miller Bills.
Yeah. 100%. And that Bills team, man, they're so good. Jeremy Bale saying, sup, guys? Can't wait to go to the game at SoFi. Go Broncos. Well, enjoy the game. Have fun. Wave to the 5 Charger fans there. We got Greg Smith saying, good morning, Broncos for breakfast. We got Tim Durrell saying, here's to shutting down Herbert and a Broncos win tonight. John Butler, this is a name I don't recognize, but he says, do you think the Broncos will address the offensive line with or without a win later on the week? The addressing of the offensive line is going to be guys already on the team getting healthy and getting out there, and the players that are there improving. But addressing the offensive line, you're going to see Quinn Miners out there this week. Billy Turner, hopefully. After that, you have Tom Compton maybe coming back at some point, which could make a difference. You could see if Cushionberry continues to play as poorly as he is, maybe you see Graham Glasgow shift over there. Maybe you see if the Broncos run blocking continues to struggle, maybe Netani Moody gets a shot with Reisner benched. There's a lot of different scenarios. Unfortunately, the Garrett Bowles injury really threw a wrench in your possible movements on the offensive line. But I don't think you're going to see anything via trade or free agency that is going to move the needle at all for this team at this point.
You're just hoping 3 healthy offensive linemen internally make a big difference.
Yep.
You know, you just mentioned Quinn Miners, Billy Turner, Tom Compton. If and when those guys are healthy and on the field, hopefully you start seeing that improvement I talked about just a few minutes ago and with internal options. It's not out of the question. It's not. But by God, you know, I don't have all the information, so I'm asking a question, not making accusations. But how do you sign these guys if you can't get them on? How do you sign them beforehand if you can't get them on the field? That's a. I guess I am making an accusation, but that is a black mark on your medical staff for
unless they sign
for physicals, like doing the pre contract physicals.
Yeah. Unless they knew that and they got them for cheap 1-year deals because of the risk there without high guarantees. But then you're going in selling the fan base something
How
where
much
you
was
kind of.
Billy Turner making before?
He made a good contract with the Packers.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, he actually I was an advocate for the Broncos to retain Billy Turner when he was here and then left in free agency, and it's like, oh, not at that contract. Never mind. Enjoy Green Bay.
Yeah, that was kind of what we just said about Vaughn. You're not beating the Buffalo Bills for Von Miller $50-60 million guaranteed. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Glenn Hare, morning, fellas. Glad to have Simmons back. Yeah, it sounds like we have I bookmarked it earlier from Jeremy Fowler, I believe. Yes, Broncos are expected to activate all-pro safety Justin Simmons for the Chargers game. Greg Dulcich is also optimistic about getting activated to make his debut, but the team is going to make the final determination there. So as we see here from the comment from Glenn Harris talking about Simmons being back, we'll see about Dulcich. Noah coming in. Can the Broncos win this game? Yes, they can. Chargers are a team that I think the Broncos match up decently with. If Justin Herbert goes nuclear, all bets are off, but we'll see. Lance Johnson, good morning from Prosper, Texas. Beautiful start to the day and looking forward to a fantastic finish to the day with a big W tonight. Well, I'm glad you had a fantastic start to the day. We had more wildfires pop up here yesterday in Washington, and it's just one big kindling box right now. We need some rain bad. Lawrence also saying, good morning, everybody. Just waking up on a beautiful Monday and realize isn't how much it takes to have a birthday party. Oh, we covered this one. Well, hopefully a birthday was great for the young one there. James Hyatt, good morning to you, James Hyatt. Brandon G saying Fleming is pure trash at tackle. This is going to maybe upset your feelings, Brendan, but he might have been the Broncos' best offensive lineman through the first 5 games of the year, and that's not Fleming is great by me. That is the rest of the offensive line is playing poorly. Fleming's been really good in the run game. He struggles against speed rushers, no doubt, but the Broncos have been impressed with them. I mean, I think you talked to Justin Outen or Nathaniel Hackett, both have been praised Fleming, and I shudder to think of what this offensive line would look like without him. And I can tell you one thing, there's a massive discrepancy right now between what internally Dove Valley and the Broncos think of Calvin Anderson at tackle versus what fans and some of the media think. I know that Calvin Anderson is active on Twitter and talks with fans on Twitter, but it does not sound like the Broncos internally are excited about the opportunity to play him out there.
Anthony Pennington coming in with the stars on Facebook. He says, good morning, guys. How well do you think Browning will do with his wrist injury?
He could have played the rest of that game against the Colts. It might impact him some because of obviously your hand fighting in there at the edge spot. But I still think, it's not a lower body injury or like an ankle or something like that. So it will impact him some, but I don't think it's going to be a thing where it's like a night and day difference. Now, that being said, to expect him to have the performance he had against the Colts again this week against the Chargers is not going to happen because he set the all-time PFF record or something for pressure rate and pass rushing grade.
6 quarterback hits in that game against the Colts. The Colts changed their entire offensive line after that Broncos game.
Yeah.
So, it won't be that easy for him. Hopefully he's out there healthy and playing playing at his best. I think that's what we all want to see, Anthony. Appreciate the stars. Who's putting in extra work is Gary Leeds Palmer. I think he came in here as Facebook user, says stars aren't working. Gary, you might be on the Mile High Huddle super fan group instead of on one of the other ones today. There's 3 Facebook groups that come in, and you're probably following all of them, and depending on which notification you came in. So, because I didn't see you come in with that comment, and I watched the other 2, a little inside baseball there, but appreciate you putting in the work, Gary, and coming in here. And Lawrence Rivera said, I asked the guys last night, but they didn't know about this A7FL league. It's a 7-on-7 league. It's actually pretty good, and I see some players we could pull that could make instant impacts. But are there contracts stopping us from pulling in people like that? No, you can buy out contracts. And anybody in this league that nobody's ever heard of in the 7-on-7, they're not making any money. You say, hey, here's $100,000. That is your operating budget for the year. I want this guy. But I seriously don't believe that there is a lot of players that would be an instant impact from this 7-on-7 league. You would be better off hitting some practice squads for guys that are actually in the NFL that have made that. Doesn't say you can't. I mean, I helped put 2 players in the NFL through a television show. Andrew Hawkins being one of them, who ended up playing 8 years in the NFL. It can be done. But I wouldn't be mining this as the answer to wide receiver room depth issues.
Yeah, I mean, these 7-on-7 guys, the good NFL front offices will comb over the tape, and these guys will get a practice squad or a training camp invite next offseason, but probably not happening this year. Just too much of an ask there. But we got Antonio Aragon coming in here saying, good morning, Broncos country. Good to see you. Welcome in. We all got Juan coming in saying, let's go Broncos. Let's get this dub. Good to see you. And James also saying, hit that like button, folks. We appreciate that, James.
Did we
Anthony
say hi to
saying,
Albert Knoppers as well? Albert,
did.
he says, good morning, y'all. Okay, making sure. Yep. Good morning, Albert. One of our regulars coming in. Appreciate you.
100%. Anthony coming in saying, good morning, guys. How do you think Browning will do with the wrist injury? We talked about that. I'm sorry about that. I think it'll be fine. Adam Strange coming in saying, what's up, Broncos Maniacs? Good to see you. Michael Ronquillo, good morning. Let's ride. Good to see you, Michael. We appreciate you. And we got a long one coming in here from Alan Forrester saying, looking forward to tomorrow's game here in the UK. Alarm set for 1:15. Glad we only have one more primetime game until the playoffs. That is, unless we get flexed out or the Broncos are feisty enough that we get flexed into some games, which we hope. But a lot easier to watch the earlier starts. Got a feeling we will beat the Chargers. Hell yeah, Alan. Also looking forward to the London game. Hopefully, Scott, you can get to Barrow Boy and Banker Pub Broncos fan meetup Saturday night.
Okay, well, thanks for the heads up.
Reach
that sounds great. I'll check it out. Plan on dragging Zach down to the South Coast with me for Chelsea Brighton Saturday afternoon, and then we'll come back and that sounds great, Alan. Appreciate the heads up.
And we appreciate Charles Webb coming in with the 199 super saying, hopefully the Broncos defense can rattle Herbert. The Chargers offensive line has not been great this season. They do have 2 pretty good interior offensive linemen, but their tackle situation is poor, and they are dealing with a lot of injuries on that unit right now. Obviously, everybody knows Rashawn Slater essentially out for the year, but also Trey Pipkins at right tackle is dealing with an injury, which would kick Storm Norton out there to right tackle, which would not be great for them. He's been poor. And their left tackle is Jameer Salyer, who fell to the 6th round of this last draft. He's got a guard body type, and he's playing tackle out there. It's one of these games where you will miss Randy Gregory because he would just envelope Salyer out there at left tackle. But this is a game where Broncos are probably going to be able to limit the explosive pass plays because, the Chargers aren't trying to do that really. And also, the offensive line, I don't know if they can hold up long enough with the Broncos on paper advantage with the edges versus the tackles.
I'm going through the chat too. And as Naj says, and yes, Charles, getting pressure on Herbert, pressure tells all. It's one of the discussions that we have all the time in team building. I'll take the edge over the corner because the best corner in the world is a quarterback on his hind end. But Naj had said, it feels like we haven't scored more than 16 points since Peyton left. I'm looking at Pro Football Reference and Denver Broncos, and the highest the Broncos have finished since 2015 is 22 in points
per game.
22nd in points. So Naj, you might not be wrong. No, I know you've scored more than 16, obviously, but I get why it feels like this. You've been a bottom third offense for 7 years now. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 7 years. Yeah, I get it. So, and to be fair, that doesn't all turn around like that.
Yeah.
There's some bad habits that are on this team that will need some exorcism. And Halloween's coming up. Like I said, I mentioned the Colts at the beginning of the show. Goose egg against Jacksonville Jaguars. New quarterback, old dog, new tricks. Wide receiver room, young with Michael Pittman. They have one guy. Okay, Pittman, Sutton. And then they've got a bunch of question marks. A rookie tight end is one of their top weapons. Rookie wide receiver, Alec Pierce stepping up. Who's going to step up like that? Scott R. asked the question. He says, Russ read the field better tonight? Does he see his open wide receiver? Does he make the throws on time? A lot of that happens with better protection. Okay. So I understand, Nick, when you might say, well, he had time. Yeah, but if you've been getting your ass kicked for 45 minutes, you're jumpy. You're okay. Where can I look where I can get the ball out quickly? Because I know I'm not going to have time. Turns out I did have time this one time, but better protection over the course of the game will lead to better quarterback play. I believe that.
Yeah, you'd hope so. The issue is that the Broncos so far this season, we talked about it on this morning show. If anybody joined us this morning, you'll know the point I'm making here. But the Falcons' offensive line so far this season has looked great, and they have been great. But they've also been in situations where they can look great. It's constantly 2nd and 3 or 3rd and 2. And guess what? You can run or pass from there. You're not behind the sticks. You're not behind schedule. The Broncos so far this season, they've averaged 3rd and 7 or longer more than any other team in football. That's leading it to where it has to be these longer developing pass plays. The play action is not working. Teams aren't respecting it right now because they know on 3rd and 7, you're not doing a classic drop back. This is so that takes it off the field, an area where this offense should be better. So really need to be better on 1st and 2nd downs to give yourself better 3rd down situations where you can go either way. And that starts with the procedural penalties being cleaned up. No more false starts, no more holdings, and just the running game being more efficient and or the quick pass game, which both have been below average so far this season. You look at the stats, and a lot of people closer to the Broncos trying to paint a more positive picture will be like, oh my God, the Broncos are 2nd in the NFL in explosive pass plays so far this season. Look what Russ is doing. Well, that's the only thing they're doing right now.
And it's the busted play,
pass play. Yeah,
right?
Yes.
You've heard me say before, the busted play is no basis for an offense. It's nice to have that in your locker. It's nice to have that improvising ability from your quarterback. But when that's all you've got, you don't have anything. If your defense is holding it close enough, then fine. But if your defense isn't holding the team to under 10 points, you're in trouble.
100%. Charles Webb coming in all saying, great job, you guys. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much, Charles. We appreciate it. And we got Miguel coming in here saying, if Quinn Miners comes back, do you move Graham to center and get more push? I think it would help Dalton too. What do you think? I think at first you're going to see, they need to get Turner out there as well, but Quinn comes back. I think you're going to keep Cushionberry and Dalton there at left guard and center. If there is going to be a shift at center, I think it's going to be after the bye week. You'll give yourself 14 days there to work in that new guy, work the center snap exchange. My understanding is that Russell Wilson has been the one who has been pushing for Cushionberry over Glasgow at center because the difference of 6'3" versus 6'6", but 6'3" or 6'6", as Scott would say, doesn't matter if your offensive lineman is in your lap immediately upon snapping because he's getting driven back. So we'll see. And either way, if your options are Cushionberry or Glasgow there, it doesn't make much of a difference as far as your outside zone run scheme. Neither of those guys move very well to the second level. If you're trying to execute a block where your center snaps and then climbs and takes on a linebacker, neither of those guys are doing that at any sort of league average clip. That's not their game. So some gives and takes with each of them. There's a reason the Broncos were so hot for teacher with Cam Jurgens last draft cycle, even looking to maybe trade up to go get him. Eagles take him at pick 58 or 60 or something.
Where did he go? Did he go before you picked?
Yes. There were 3 players, to my understanding, with that second round pick, or the Broncos were really hot for, in Drake Jackson, Cam Taylor-Britt, and Cam Jurgens. All 3 gone before the Broncos pick, and they end up with Nick Bonito, who looked okay last week. So we'll see. But Quinn coming back, hopefully that'll help as well. We got, I know this name. It's the old man, Darren Kendall. Go Broncos. Thanks for staying positive. I know it's tough to do. It's small potatoes out here compared to a lot of things. And also $9.99 super. Thank you so much. Thanks, Dad. We appreciate
Thank you, Mr.
you.
Kendall. I say, Mr. Kendall, I'm probably as old as your dad.
I don't know. They're out there in Colorado right now having a good time. My hiking and mountain obsession definitely stems from them, and my grandpa as well. And I guess I'll announce now, but I haven't told my parents this yet, even either. But I will be out the next 3 days because I got a chance to backpack the enchantments outside of Leavenworth, Washington. Hopefully we don't get smoked out, but a buddy of mine had, and this permits, you have I think it's a 0.1 chance % of winning every year. It's like the second toughest lottery to win for backpacking or hiking in the country. He had somebody back out and said, hey, could you join? I'm going to drop what I can to do it. So shout out to Scott too for being flexible with that, but I won't be here Tuesday through Thursday this week because I will be
Eric's got the 5:30 wake up call tomorrow morning to do Broncos for breakfast after the game tonight. So I'm like, Eric, that's just staying up. So he might not have a wake up call. He might just stay up and catch us in the morning. So it'll be me and Eric tomorrow for our morning after reaction.
100%. We got Jesse coming in saying long-term, given the contract with Russell Wilson and not having top-tier picks for a couple years, Broncos get their top-tier picks back next year. 2024 draft, I don't think they are without any. So not a couple years, just this year. How can the Broncos build a new offensive line with such limited resources? Are we stuck with what we have? This is a multifaceted question to me. You can find centers and guards in free agency with limited cap space every year. Now, you don't want to pay average guys big money because then you lose flexibility and you're kind of stuck with what Graham Glasgow has been with this team. I mean, when the Broncos paid Graham Glasgow at the time, I think he had the second biggest guard contract in the NFL, and he has not lived close to that. So you want to be careful with those kind of things. But also the offensive line this year, it's pretty much all the same guys as last season, but the offensive line looks significantly worse than last year. That to me comes down to scheme fit for some of it, but also coaching. Butch Barry needs to be on the hot seat with how bad this offensive line has looked. Obviously, going from Mike Munchak and Chris Cooper, who's got that Vikings offensive line looking great, is one thing. But this Broncos interior trio, Reisner, Cushionberry, Glasgow, they've regressed since last season. So definitely need to have them on the hot seat.
I love this question from Jesse, and I'm going to grab this spammer coming in. There's a couple of them. If you want to get the Tinder one, you got them already. You've got money in free agency. There's only 8 guards that are scheduled to be free agents making more than $3 million next year. That's it. So you can improve very nicely at guard with the proper scouting, and you've got the money to do it. So you've got to dig in and get the right scheme fit. What's interesting is out of the top 14 guys scheduled to be free agents, 2 of them are already Denver Broncos, Dalton Reisner and Tom Compton. So the money's already there. You've got it. Now let's make sure you're spending it wisely. On top of that, you do have your middle round draft picks where you can find good players to come in and play center and guard with 3rd, 4th, and 5th round picks. We see it every year. We've called out a few of them, even at the tackle position in the 3rd round. So it can be done, Jesse. Never fear.
Yep, and with coaching and health, a lot of things can change there. We got Chief Big Belly coming in here. Scott's frozen on my screen. I don't know about you guys.
Frozen too. Okay. Like I said, I restarted to get the beginning of the day. I'm like, I paid way too much for this graphics card to be having these type of problems.
It might be an internet connectivity thing, but you were kind of like that there for a second. It was a good look. Chief Big Belly, $10 saying, watching the film, most of Hackett's play calls, designs have been good past few weeks. Russ has been missing reads and throws. Hackett hasn't been perfect, but he's improved. Need the offensive line to be fixed. I think the passing concepts have been good. I'm not impressed at all with the running concepts. Now, some of that might be because the other team I've been watching a lot of this season has been the Falcons, and their run game has been beautiful to watch so far this season. But definitely, I think there's a mismatch marriage right now, or just lack of cohesion between the play design, where the reads is supposed to go, and Russell Wilson. Guys have been getting open, specifically Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler. That being said, a lot of those are the quick pass game, which been screaming. Russell Wilson's not been the best at that in his career. Something's got to give. It's one reason I've been screaming about the offensive line and the run game need to be good. So that way you can not lean as heavily on the quick game, which right now is not happening. So hopefully that'll get better this week. We still got a lot of games left though to get it worked out. And if we're at least feeling like we're going the right direction at the end of the season with the offense, hopefully that'll be enough. Although missing the playoffs again is going to be rough.
Yeah, I said earlier a little bit that I feel like better protection over the course of the game will lead to better decision making from your quarterback. You get happy feet back there. You get not punch drunk's not the right word. That's when you've already taken your beating, but you're trigger happy. And you start getting rid of the ball. You don't trust yourself. You trust, okay, I'm going to go one read. But again, we've seen some of the scheming that we know, if we want to get on Hackett for not doing his job well, we've seen improvement, and we've seen guys getting open that aren't being hit. I'm not going to put that all on Russell Wilson yet because he's not getting the time consistently back there to throw. I'd like to see that happen on the offensive line. So I'm a trench person. And if you're poor in the trenches, I don't start blaming everything else until we start fixing the trenches.
Yep. And just while we're wrapping up here pretty soon, I got to get going. I can't be too late today. Naj first, though, 1990. Oh, did we get this one?
No, Naj is coming in double time. The brace. Naj for the brace. Appreciate you, Naj.
Thank you. He says, behind closed doors, Wilson realized how poorly he's played, or his handlers convincing him otherwise. Warren Moon said it best. He needs to quit social media and focus on football. Thoughts? I mean, that'd be great if you just kind of saw a closed door there with the social media, revenge kind of stuff going there. But I think Russell Wilson understands that he is playing poorly. I don't think there's any doubt on that.
Yeah, he said it. If he's come out and said it, it starts with me. Whether he believes it or not, he's saying the right things. It's got to get better. I don't know how to quit. And the social media, he probably didn't even run his own social media, honestly. He's got people for that. That's part of the Russell Wilson branding. It helps invite more scrutiny, but, more of it's just, again, the timing of the new scheme and trusting your receivers coming out there, trusting your offensive line, and, knowing that sometimes you're going to take a hit. Is all part of it. And I'll say it one more time, then I'll be done with it, Nick. I won't say anything again about it till tomorrow. As the offensive line improves, Russell Wilson will improve.
It's crazy because the offensive line advanced metrics show that this Broncos offensive line is like top 5 so far this season, which is just the eye test is so there's a massive discrepancy between those. I don't get it. I'm racking my head at that.
It means trust your eyes, trust what you see, because you don't know what they are grading or how they are grading it. Like I said, if I run 2 plays, first and second, where the defense is basically allowing me, take what the offense, you always say, take what the defense gives you. And then on third down, they say, okay, that's enough. We're going to go get the quarterback. They can. They've been able to get to the quarterback whenever they want to. We saw that on both sides. That Colts Denver Broncos game was 2 of the worst offensive lines where we will see all year. They could get to the quarterback into the backfield whenever they wanted to. Like, okay, we shut it down. It's third down now. Let's go get the quarterback. And they did every single time. I don't care what happens on first and second in your grading if they can get to my quarterback whenever they freaking want to. Yeah. Okay, they won 2 out of 3 reps. Yeah, but the third one was all that mattered. So you can shove your grades. We know what we see.
Shove your grades. I love that. That's what Scott said in school. Albert's coming in saying, is there a gut reaction tonight? I think there will be a gut reaction tonight. It'd be pretty crazy if there wasn't.
Yeah, always. So. Zach and Chad will be on tonight after. We actually started early. We started before the game was over and did a watch along during overtime. So we were sitting here talking behind the scenes. I'm like, hey, everybody's here. Let's just do it as a watch along. And I like the idea of doing more of those. The problem is availability and who can do them and that type of thing on Sundays. But for a primetime game, when we're going to be potting, we might start early again and finish the last few minutes as a watch along. So, if you're home, want a second screen and watch along with us, we'll be here.
100%. It'll be a lot of fun. Scott, we got to start wrapping up here because I got to go do a grocery pickup. But what does the Broncos do this? They lose the game. If the Broncos don't accomplish this, they lose the game. What is your one thought on that?
Convert third downs.
That's
I think if I'm looking about what they are on them, forget, okay, if they can't put pressure on Justin Herbert, that's one of them. If they can't stop the running game, that's another one. But what can they do? What can, when we're talking about this offense again, if they're not converting third down and they're putting their defense out there in third and on 3 and outs consistently like they've been doing the last several weeks, it doesn't matter how good. This is where I agree with Zach when Chad was talking about, well, the defense didn't step up when they had to. Man, when you're 40 minutes to 20 minutes in time of possession and you've got 8 3 and outs, the defense is going to break. They will. I don't care how good they are, they will break. Convert third downs, extend drives, pick up your defense. They've been holding you. They're the only reason you're 2-3. So it's time to start carrying your own weight on offense. And I'm not even talking about scoring 30 points. Convert third downs and help your defense out.
Yeah, 100%. And okay, so the Broncos do that. Mine's going to be red zone. They've been horrible in the red zone. They kind of corrected it there early, but you only have so many possessions where you can get down there. You need to freaking punch it in. 3 points is not going to do it against Justin Herbert. You need to walk away with 7 and figure that out. So the Broncos, I guess that's kind of the same thing there. What's the main thing you are worried about for the Chargers in this game?
As far as what they can do,
yes,
if they get the
players,
run, if they get both sets of their offense running at the same time, if they run the ball and if their offense is working in tandem with the running game and the passing game, they're going to be a tough beat.
Yeah, that's one for me as well. I'm going to go with the tight end here. I know the Broncos have actually not been horrible against the tight end as much as people like to scream about it. The last 2 seasons, they've actually been one of, I think, the top 5 teams in stopping tight ends in terms of like fantasy points, which is not the best metric, but that's yards and touchdowns, so that does matter some when you're looking at that. So the Broncos have been pretty good against tight ends. I think the Chargers are going to really emphasize the tight end position in this game, specifically Gerald Everett. Keenan Allen is doubtful in this game. The Broncos are missing Josie Jewell and Caden Stearns, 2 guys that are helpful in the short pass game, specifically over the middle of the field. So I expect Gerald Everett to be a guy who concerns me in this game, and he stands out because he wears a single-digit jersey. I think it's number 7. So a tight end wearing number 7 stands out. So that's one that concerns me a bit. And finally, before we wrap it up here, Scott, final score. What's your final score prediction?
Oh, I don't know that I've picked one right so far this year. So we'll go. I'm going Chargers, the home team favorite. It's the best thing I can do for you, Broncos country. 27-17.
I have the Broncos losing 20-13. I don't think the offense gets it going, and I think that the offensive tackle position against Khalil Mack is enough there. And I think Justin Herbert protects the football, and the Broncos, whether it be Russell Wilson throwing it blind or a Melvin Gordon cough-up, do something like that once again this week to lose the game. Hate to be a negative Nancy on that, but I picked against the Broncos last week. I was right. I'm pulling a Scott here. I'm hedging. If the Broncos win, I'm going to be happy to be wrong. If they lose, I'm going to be like, well, see, I was right. So we'll see how it plays out.
It's tough when you've got an emotional connection. It makes it hard. Mm-hmm. And whether or not I care about the Denver Broncos winning or losing, I care about this community, and I have an emotional connection with this community. I want y'all to be happy. I do. I want y'all to be happy. So it changes your robotic logic that I have for most other games.
100%. Well,
it doesn't help when they played like this. How do you win an 11-10 game? How do you pick that? You can't pick that. Come on.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough, but Broncos got a chance to win today. Hopefully, I'm wrong on that, but we'll see. Monday Night Football, Broncos got a chance to go 3-3. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We got Kaylee on saying it's going to be at the game as well. Hit up with who was it earlier? Said they were going to be at the game. Was it James Hyatt? I do not recall, but hit up the game. Go to a bar or something beforehand. But we appreciate you guys joining us today. Make sure you're following Scott and I on Twitter. Scott is at Scout Kennedy. I am at Nick Kendell MHH. Also, make sure you're following us at BFB_pod, as well as at Mile High Huddle. And if you haven't done so yet, join our Facebook community at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and facebook.com/Mile High Huddle pod. We appreciate you guys. And as also the ticker says underneath, please subscribe, like, and share over on YouTube. Click that bell notification so that way you know when we go live. Scott, good show. Any final thoughts before we wrap it on up?
No, it's Monday. We got football Monday night. Looking forward to watching the game tonight, and we'll see y'all tonight for the gut reaction. And if you are a morning person, like most of y'all are, hope to see you tomorrow. Expect to see you here tomorrow. Eric and I will react to the game, and hopefully we'll see Scott. You never should have doubted. Broncos always whoop the Chargers.
Yeah, and if you guys are in pain of offense after this week, you guys can watch Bama X's Crimson Tide take on the Vols, the replay. What is it? 52 points given up by the Bama defense, most since like 1908 or something. What a game.
12 game broke out. I don't particularly like 100-point games, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't. Be like, oh, it's the greatest game I ever saw. I'm like, I don't know. It's just it's a basketball game. It's not. I like to see plays being made on both sides, and the defenses are so worn out. It's just, it was an exciting game, and I thought it was we'll get out of here. I was very happy for Tennessee. 15 years. It was like, I've never rooted for Tennessee balls in my life. And I actually was getting misty watching the reaction and everything. I'm like, they good for them, but I'm not a big fan of 100-point games. I'm really not.
Yeah. Yep. Well, guys, I got to get it out of here. We appreciate you, everyone. Continue to choose passion and kindness. Andrew Lamp first coming in saying, morning, hate to say it, but maybe the NFL should just play the Chiefs Bills every week. That's some good football. It was good football. But we appreciate you guys. Yeah. Sorry, Bama X. Teasing you here with this one, but I'm in a world of pain watching the Broncos and the Hawkeyes. So seeing any sort of offensive output like that, put hair on my chest or something. I don't know. But we appreciate you guys so much. Like I said, I won't be here the next 3 days because I will be deep in the hearts of the Central Cascades, hopefully above the smoke. And Scott will be holding down the fort here. So I'll see you guys again on next Monday, week from today. Nice little break for me. And then hopefully we get a chance to talk about a 3-3 Broncos team. But until then, make sure you guys continue to choose kindness and compassion. Go Broncos.